Mayoral Memo with Mathew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.
Welcome to the Mayoral Memo podcast. While the normal host, Mark Barnes, is away over the Christmas break, I've taken the opportunity to interview the councillors individually about their first year with the new council. 23rd of December 2021 was the day that the new council was sworn in and inducted, and the councillor interviews were conducted within a few days either side of the 1 year anniversary of that date. The process was straightforward. I invited all of the other 9 councillors to be a guest on the Mayoral Memo podcast. I then created 10 questions that explored some information about each councillor and about their first year in the role. Feedback was provided by the councillors on those questions, and after some modifications, all guests were then asked those identical questions. Each councillor sat down with me in my makeshift studio at home and asked them each of the 10 questions, plus a bonus anything else question. I am publishing 2 of those interviews each week in reverse alphabetical order, and the Mayoral Memo podcast will then resume as normal when Mark Barnes returns from holidays. I hope you enjoy the insight into the minds of our councillors. This week we have Shibli Chowdhury and Lewis Burns. Today I've got Councillor Shibli Chowdhury with me. Shibli was elected from the South Dubbo ward in December 2021, so this has been his first year on council. So how are you going today, Shibli?
Good, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for inviting me in your podcast.
My pleasure. So I've got some questions for you, Shibli. Question 1. What motivated you to stand for council elections in December 2021?
Thank you, Matthew. The first thing is I'm a bit involved with the community last all the years, different community groups and different committee with the council. And I found during my time as a community member, council lost bit connection with the community. So I thought it would be good if I can get elected, run for the council, make sure this community back, and also be in their voice, I can be true reflect of their voice, their problem I can discuss with the council chamber right way, and also as you are aware of, we have a big multicultural communities growing, and I thought it would be good if we have a good representation within the community.
Yeah, it's good, and you talk about that multicultural community. 18.8% of our community now was born overseas at the last census, so That's a fairly significant community.
Yes, and surprisingly, it keep growing. And if you see in last month, there was a state came 11% higher than Urana region get 11% higher than anyone else. So we are attracting a lot of people in our town here.
And that's really, I think, the melting pot we've got in Dubbo now. It's really changing the face of Dubbo, which is very exciting.
Correct. Yeah, I always keep saying last 5 years back, the way we thinking now, today we're thinking different way because Dubbo is pretty growing and a lot of people are coming different aspects. So it's amazing the way Dubbo is growing, and I hope so it keep going.
And the committees you talked about there, I think we've now got 16 of those community committees, so a lot of those have been brought back there, so that's fantastic as well.
Correct.
And I think the feedback you're getting from those committees is quite positive.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I do a lot of volunteer works beside my council job and my full-time job, so I met with a lot of people in different places, and people call me, and people appreciate they came back. And I always believe, Matthew, the job we're doing as a councillor, we're doing for community. We're representing our community. So they need to be part of us so we can take the right decision in right time. And it's going to be, I believe in a good teamwork. So, we cannot take decision or cannot take something without the community. So I think it's better if community and council all work side by side.
Yeah, good. How would you describe your most enjoyable aspect of being a councillor?
Right. I think I'm a great believer of teamwork. So I want to see as a councillor, work with all 10 councillors together, because it's like a sports, like a cricket. So we need to, all the players need to hard work, team together, make a plan together, and we deliver the good outcome for the community. So I think this is the most, I enjoy this teamwork, and I believe that the current councillors have they came from different background, different thinking, and at the day end, we all talk and share things each other. So that helps us to make a good outcome for the community.
And a bit like using your cricket example, you often hear a batsman or a bowler interviewed at the end of the match and they've done something wonderful individually, but they always talk about they'd prefer to get the team result rather than the individual result. So scoring a century means nothing if you're in a losing team. So I think that's a really important aspect you've touched on there.
Correct. And always I believe this, I have only one vote. So, any decision I need to take the other 9 councillors with me to take any vital decision. And also at the day end, we're taking decision for the community. So, we need to be good teamwork, and then we can get a good outcome.
So how did the teamwork go at this golf that we played for our Councillor Christmas function?
I think pretty well. I think somehow they miscalculate my number. But I really enjoyed it's a really different experience to me. I never had that sort of experience. But it's at the day end, we all been together, relax, talk together, and be in sporty mood.
Yeah. What are Council's greatest achievements this year?
As I mentioned, Matthew, I feel we all working for the community, and as a councillor, when we elected and we came to the first meeting, we decided we will bring back all these community committees. And I think that's the best part, I believe, we did, because of the community committees been back and their voice been heard. And the community committees, these committee members are always very giving us a lot of information of what's happening within the community, what they want to achieve. And those then through that committee, we discuss a lot of things. And at that time, later, we bring those decisions to the council and talk to the different council, a different level, and bring it to committee, like a council meeting. Then we can take the right decision. So I think community committee, I feel one of the big good outcome. I feel
Yeah, that's right, and that's significant. The number of community members that are now involved with council where they weren't involved before, I think they really appreciate that.
Correct. Yeah, as I mentioned, I feel I get a lot of positive comment from the committees and from the local too. So they can talk to us anytime, and, with the committee members also. I've been through with Councillor Ivy in part of village committee. So I've been I'm going through different villages, talk to the villages, and it's fantastic. People appreciate that. It's been stuff for a few years. So they seen councillor working hard. They're going back to their community, not sitting in the chamber only. They're going back to the community, talk to them with them face to face, and and they can share their problem, and we can bring those problems or any suggestion to the council meeting, and then councillor can take the right decision.
How do you think that council could have done better this year?
As I have a financial background, so I would like to see numbers. So, council has a huge range of businesses like airport, sale yard, childcare, and a caravan park, a whole range of businesses. So I think communities sometimes they don't see the numbers. So, and they think, oh, what happening? Why this service is not having done, or that sort of thing. So as you are aware of, council is trying to do financial dashboard for the community. So through that community, it would be simple numbers, and they can see where is all the money is coming and going going. So through that, they can understand a bit more clear idea of what's happening within the financial side. So I think that a financial dashboard would be like I would like to see is happening very quickly. And I get a lot of phone calls for lawn mowing services and those sort of services. And people ask me like, can my those roads not been done, lawn mowing not been done, and those sort of things. So if we can show them like this financial situation and plus like those are like and if they can see some sort of schedule, so they can understand it's like not every day. There's some schedule and council will do by like within that time frame definitely. Yeah.
And obviously council's working towards that financial dashboard concept, but I think that also goes to the whole idea of transparency, openness, letting people see all the information, see those numbers, because it's not our childcare, it's not our sale yards, it's the communities.
Correct.
So I think they'll really appreciate the idea of being able to see that information. And that's being developed, but obviously that's something you feel could have been done better throughout the year.
Exactly, Matthew. As we all taking the responsibility on behalf of community, and community need to know what's happening and where is all this money coming from different government levels, like different grants, and how is spending this money. So it will give a really a positive idea to the community.
What was your toughest individual decision this year as a councillor?
I think like when we first started, like we all knew. So as a new councillor, it's really hard. I can like remember one of the DA approval for Macleay Street boarding houses, and it was really challenging for us. And especially for me, because as a new councillor, I have not enough knowledge of how to do this DA approval taking decision. And when that came, we talked, there was a bit. Community has like a different view than builder, and the information I received, the DA has absolutely no problem. Everything within the law, but community has a different perspective. So as a councillor, we deferred that decision because we need more information. And we went to talk to the community on site. We talked to the community. We talked to the builder, and at the day end, we take the decision. I know it was really hard for me, which side I should go, who should I, because we need because housing is critical shortage in our region, and everyone aware of that. And also we working so hard to bringing more housing in our community. Other side, the boarding house creating some issues with the local community too. So you have both sides we had to handle, and I found as a new councillor it was really challenging.
Yeah, and that was very early in the new council term. So thrown in the deep end, definitely.
Yeah. And
I'm not normally a fan of deferring decisions. I believe we normally have enough information to make a decision, but that was one of the few times that I did actually say to my fellow councillors, I'm happy to defer this because I think there's a lot of information to gather here together. So they are the tough decisions, aren't they? When you can see a great point of view from one person on one side or one group of people, and then a great point of view from a group of people on the other side, and both of them you feel like have got absolutely valid points of view, but you can't say yes to both. You've got to eventually say yes to one and no to the other. So they are the tough ones.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
What have been your challenges or frustrations as a councillor in the last year?
Matthew, as I mentioned, with new councillors, I'm so happy with all the councillors. Very positive and very very informative. Always sharing each other all the information, and we discuss things. But most challenging, I found we have a lengthy induction process, and through that induction process, also a lot of LGNSW that. Lot of act we need to know, but also there was a community demand, a lot of things. It's a big challenge for me to learn within short frame, plus also deliver a lot of projects within the community. For an example, people call me for as I mentioned before, lawn mowing. They need the roads need to be done with lawn mowing and other things. So, I cannot call to council and ask them to do straight away, because there was some schedule and it's against the act, the law. As a council, I cannot do anything Operation Matter, but we can definitely pass their message, put their message through the DRC and me. So, those sort of challenges I feel like most challenge to me, because there was a lot of big expectation, large expectation from the community, and other hand we had to follow all this act, regulation, I think that's most challenging, yeah.
There's a lot to learn, isn't there?
Correct, yeah.
And you can't really prepare for it until you get elected to council, and then you get hit with all of this information and you're trying to absorb it all.
Yeah.
Still respond to the community. So, yeah, it is a big challenge. So I think you went through it very well, but it is a big challenge to start with.
Thank you.
What was the most surprising or unexpected aspect you found about council this year?
I think honestly, the fluoride been missing 3.5 years. That been missing, and community have no clue. Even though as a community member, I never had a clue that the fluoride is missing within the from our water. So as a councillor, I think when we first know from our staff, and we decided it's not a good news. Definitely, it's a bad news, but we need to inform to the community, because at the day end, this is this is a health issue. So we had to inform the community that fluoride is missing 3.5 years. And that's most surprising for me, that how come it's not been advised. And I talked to the previous few councillors, they are not aware too. So, that's surprised, how come we missed out such an important thing. It's needed. But I'm really grateful the council staff took that action, and they are now working on to bring that fluoride into the water.
And it is a surprising aspect, obviously. Not a good surprise.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something, I'm sure, that no councillor who stood for election last year was thinking, I want to get onto council because I want to get some fluoride back in the water, because there was an assumption that it was in the water.
Correct.
So it was very surprising. So, yeah, it's a good one. How would you describe the public perception of council?
I found there was a largely very positive, and still there is a bit negative thinking, but most of them are coming to me very positive, talk to me. And also one good thing is this councillors are out. People can talk to me. People can call me. They have all the information with them. Plus, we're doing a leaders' breakfast. People can come and talk 3 level of government leaders, and they can talk in one place, discuss a lot of their issues, and we can say which one is state, federal, or council. So I think that's the community is seeing a lot of positive thing happening.
Yeah, and it is interesting, isn't it? The public perception of council, it comes down to what some individuals tell you about. It's hard to get that overall snapshot until we do a wider survey. But
correct.
You do get different perceptions from different individuals.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
What would you like to see council achieve in 2023?
I think as a councillors and council, everyone working for community. So I believe we can do a bit more clear communication from all the level with the communities, plus increase trust, more trust within as a community, and also community are welcome to give us more feedback, so we can working towards to what they want, because at the day end we work for the community.
What does the Dubbo region look like in 2050?
Might. I would like to see one of the best region in the world, but it's fantastic. We have a lot of infrastructure happening within our region, and it's growing, massive growing. I want to see the people are coming to our region, so more appropriate transport strategy need to be done, more roads need to be done, and our airport is growing, and yesterday we had been get government fund for the do some planning to do strengthening our airport, so we can bring more a larger aircraft within our region, and also renewable energy is growing. And also in 2050, I would like to I think that ESM mining will be starting their operation. Hopefully that's going to help our community. Rail maintenance facilities is already nearly finished by next year, and we would like to see a 3D printing building within our region. So we'll be the leader, showing people and showing other region that we are in advanced level to cope up with new technology, and so community can see the sort of good things happening.
It certainly sounds exciting to be part of a region that looks like that in the next 27, 28 years.
Correct, yes.
So any final comments or general comments that you've got?
This is before Christmas, so I would like to wish Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all the community members, local members, and also I would like to see a bit more engaged. A community can come to any of us, to any idea, anything they want to share with us. Feel free to contact with me or any councillors. We all for you, and I'd like to see a lot of positive things happening.
Well done. Well, it's been a joy to work with you this year, Shibli. Yeah. Thank you for your time and efforts. I think the community really appreciates it. And I'm looking forward to a really exciting 2023. It's been a lot of learning that's happened this year. Next year, I think the councillors will really forge ahead with all that knowledge under your belt and then really take this region forward. So good luck for next year. I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you, Matthew. And I'm looking for 2023. It's 2023 because it's a very challenging year. So hopefully as a team, we can bring a lot of good outcome for the community. Thank you.
I'm here today with Councillor Lewis Burns, who was elected for the East Ward back in December 2021, so a first-term councillor. How are you going today, Lewis?
Pretty good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, actually really good. I'm really enjoying these podcasts. It's fantastic. So I've got 11 questions for you today. Question number 1, what motivated you to stand for council elections in December 2021?
Well, that's a deep question because I never ever thought I would be on council as I was going through life. But there was a time in 2020 where there was some decisions that were made by council posted online, and I thought these decisions are not. They never really crossed the traditional owners' table, so to speak, or the traditional owners were never asked or advised, and I thought there's something wrong. So what we need to do is make sure that the traditional owners are represented in Dubbo, because we got an anti-title determination in 2014, and I sent all the information to the council at the time, and we're still trying to stand up on our own land, basically. And that's the reason why I got involved with council, because I thought if I couldn't fix it from the bottom, fix it from the top.
And what's been really good is we've got 2 Aboriginal councillors on council now, yourself and Pam, and that's the first time we've ever had 2 on, if you go back through the history of Dubbo City Council and Dubbo Regional Council. And I must admit, during my previous term on council, 2004 to 2016, that whole time I was on council, Rod Towney was on council with me, so I had a lot of time and respect for having an Aboriginal voice on council. And it's interesting that you point out during the last term of council, there weren't any Aboriginal councillors. When you've got 16.5% of our population Aboriginal, that seems like definitely an oversight. And again, I know it's an election process, but I think it's really great having 2 Aboriginal councillors now.
I do too. And you know the funny thing, and honestly, Pam and I didn't even talk to each other before we made that decision. So I'm running for council. Oh, yeah, me too. And, so that was it. And we both ended up on. So it was a real surprise for me. I just didn't expect to get on. But at the time, I was the first one on. And they said, yeah, Lewis is on, but we just could see who the next 9 are.
Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy for me.
Yeah. How would you describe your most enjoyable aspect of being a councillor?
Oh, I think it's something I've never thought of, but it is enjoyable because people who have never ever rang me before ring me and ask me questions about, well, they try and, influence my decisions, basically. But it's good to be able, it's pleasant. It's surprisingly pleasant to get phone calls from people who've never rang me, but they ring for a good reason.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting hearing from people in the community, isn't it? Hearing different opinions, different
and I like to have talks with them, I like to have a yarn with them if I've got the time when they ring, because I'm learning a lot too about other things, aspects that I never really worried about in town.
So should I warn people when they ring you for a 5-minute conversation, it might end up being a half-hour conversation?
Yeah, it could be a long one, especially if I answer the phone, because I very rarely do that.
What are council's greatest achievements this year?
Oh, in my opinion, it was what happened on Australia Day. So how we attended the Australia Day ceremonies, and then all the councillors that could came to the Survival Day ceremonies. And I thought that was a good thing, and it's a start for something that, we got to have to pull together at some point because no one's going away. So that's where I'm at with that, and it's good to see that it's finally happening.
And I know I have quoted you a few times for what you said on Australia Day at the Council Australia Day ceremony about unity, the fact that you said you stood on an election platform of unity and you got to walk the walk. It's all well and good to talk the talk, and you were there as part of that.
Yeah.
And I actually really enjoyed that day as well. We had the formal council ceremony that's been going for a long time, but then going over and attending, as you say, the Sorry Day, the Invasion Day, the Genocide Day. I'm not sure. People give different Survival Day. People give it a whole range of different names, but attending that particular component of the same day, but in different circumstances, I think that was good, and it was quite interesting to watch councillors there trying to dance along with
it was
the Aboriginal dancers there.
And some people got photos of that, so you can see that.
That's right. How do you think that council could have done better this year?
Well, that's a hard one because I've only been in a year, and in the meetings I did discover that there was money being spent on things that will be gone, dead money sort of thing, and that was disappointing. So, but the problem is that it's something that this council inherited. So that was really disappointing to hear about, the pipe or whatever it is that it's in the ground, and it's a dead asset. So I'm not sure how that happened, but you'd think somebody along the line would have picked up on it.
And it's probably a good lesson for us as well that when we make decisions at council, you need to make sure that you've thought through various aspects of it, you've got all the information, and it hasn't happened a lot this year, but a few times we have deferred a decision because we felt like we didn't have enough information. So that's a really important aspect, getting the information, because when we make a decision, That's the decision.
Yep.
You can't go back and dig up that pipeline and say,
Yeah.
whoops, we didn't mean to spend that money. So when you make those decisions, you've got to be sure and confident of them.
Yeah, that's right. Even though sometimes you feel different. Oh, well, you feel one way about it. You make decisions to stop the loss.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just one of those things.
What was your toughest individual decision this year as a councillor?
Gee, there were a few. I don't think I really have to say that I had tough decisions, because I'm deciding as one of 10, and I did vote against some things that were carried. So I feel like I've done my job. I can't think of one decision that was tough, but I was I suppose any decision over the riverbank, I'm going to try and vote against building or developing anything along the river.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the one thing that was worried about. I thought there was a big plan to develop the whole Regan Park, and I was a bit worried about it.
And now we've got the master plan out on display. Obviously, a lot of those fears have been put to rest for people.
Yep. I had a look at it and I voted. I went through it. There's 3 options, and I voted for the option that did the least development, because it's just a lovely place to be. And we were there last weekend, 2 weeks ago, whatever, and everybody was in. It just puts you in a good mood, being around nature.
It was actually quite nice, wasn't it? That was our Councillor Christmas function you referred to, playing a bit of disc golf down there, then having a barbecue and just having the sunset over that sandy beach area there with the river flowing in the background was a very nice area.
Yes, and hopefully people in 100 years can do the same.
Mm. Yeah, that's good. What have been your challenges or frustrations as a councillor in the last year?
Okay, the challenges is not getting all information in my head. Like I'll run an eye over stuff, but sometimes when there's 400 pages to read, you don't really get through it all. So you kind of got to flick over it. So my challenges is getting the information in my head properly. But it's one of my things that I'm concentrating on doing next year.
And that challenge is absolutely there and real, and I don't think many people realise how much information we're given, because obviously we have to make a decision at the end of the day with all of that information.
Yes.
At least on the positive side of that, we've normally got some workshops and some briefings and some discussions, and then it might go to standing committees, and then 2 weeks later it might come back to council. So you've normally got a few versions of it or a few iterations of information before it finally gets to that final council decision meeting. So that's one positive there. But sometimes the business papers, we get them and we've got a few days to read, as you say, sometimes 400 pages. So it's a fair bit of work, a fair commitment, isn't it, as a councillor? Yeah.
And, it's like read this book before Thursday. So it's not big on reading, but I can flick through things.
But also I think you add value to the discussion. So when we're having the discussion about things, again, you might have read over it and had a skim read of something, but then adding to the discussion and being able to have that addition to the discussion, I think, is important as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I know that the discussion that takes place at council always puts it into line for me.
Yep.
So I understand if I've read a bit of it and then we get to council and we can talk about it, then I can understand what direction we're going.
Yeah, and just sometimes just one of the questions you might ask might be that pivotal question or that question that makes sense to everyone or opens up something else we're going to go and look into further.
Yeah. A lot of the times you ask a question and you don't realise that you're going to get like 3 answers. So it's good to make sure. I know it's one thing that I've always Pam shows it a lot more. In question asked, she'll do it regardless. She asks a lot more questions than me, but maybe that's why I don't, because I know she'll ask it. But Yeah, it's good to keep up with everything. I'm learning every day, and I think it's a good thing that I'm on and Pam's on, and I can see things coming better for the better, especially in the unity, because I'm big on that, and I don't like it when you can't look someone in the eye down the street and say hello and they look away. I want to stop that. When people say hello to each other. You remember them days when you used to walk down the street and you said hello to everyone you walked past?
Yep.
They're gone.
Yeah.
I want to bring them back, or, at least for a weekend.
Maybe we do that. Maybe we have a weekend of saying hello to everyone.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I ride my bike or sometimes go for a run around Truckarali, and I do that. I still say good day or wave to people as I go past. Sometimes I'm puffing too hard. I can't say hello and I just wave. But I do that if I'm away somewhere, and I might be in Sydney for a night and I go for a run in the morning around Hyde Park. And I do the same there, and I think I'm going to get arrested because people look at me very strange.
People look at you and say, "What are you talking to me for?"
That's right. Don't
was
look
you
at me.
talking to me then? It's strange. Sydney didn't. It was been like that all the time, but I noticed when the Sydney Olympics was on, everyone was like one family.
Yeah.
It was just different atmosphere.
Yep. So we need a Say G'day weekend. Maybe.
That's what we need.
Yeah, good idea.
But the way I'm doing it is through this Indigenous festival. So I'll bring in people from around the world that are still living traditionally in their own lands, educate community about Indigenous people all over the world. It's free to come in. That's that festival I do, the Spirit of the Planet. And we'll try and shoot for 2024 now. But that's the reason I wanted to bring that back, because I saw red, yellow, black and white people high-fiving and dancing together.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah. Looks good.
What was the most surprising or unexpected aspect you found about council this year?
Surprising. Oh, you know what I did find, and this year you can just say since the election, because it was only 2 weeks into last year, but the way the council formed, we all didn't know, a lot of us didn't know each other, and now we feel like a team, and that's was really unexpected. But I thought it was going to be like, us and them. Yep. But it feels like we're a team, and everyone's got the right attitude, and going forward, feels good to be part of it.
Yeah, good. And I'm a big fan of that approach. Certainly through my time on council, I've seen it in both ways, and I am a big fan of the team environment. Some people are critical of that. I've heard some people in the community say, they shouldn't all get on so well together. There should be this animosity or different points of view coming together. But I'm not sure what you think, but I certainly think you can have different points of view but still be a team. You can still bring different things to the table but still do it in a way that's nice, a way that's conducive to good discussions. It doesn't have to be a battleground.
It's sort of like the old, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything. And if we stick to that, we're still going forward. We're just not letting our emotions get involved.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing when you see meetings. People take their emotions in and let them out, whereas they only need to talk about the subject.
Yeah, not the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And we've seen that. We've seen some good debates at council. I've really enjoyed them, where you've got different points of view brought forward. And as you said, there's been times you've voted against things and people have voted in different ways. So that's great. In fact, one of my most enjoyable nights when friends get together is when we sit around a dinner table and we just talk about nothing in particular, but there's different points of view, and it's not as if we have arguments. I've got some of these friends I used to go to school with. I've had friends for decades, and we'll sit there and have these great debates and discussions about different topics. It doesn't mean we disagree and we don't like each other anymore, or we don't talk anymore.
Well, the good thing is you don't have to vote on it at the moment.
That's probably
you talk about it all day.
Yeah, you're probably right. But again, that's really important. I actually think the concept of having a meal together afterwards is really important, because sometimes you might get to the stage where you go, Lewis voted that way and I voted this way. What was he thinking? You sit down at a meal afterwards, after the vote's over and after the heat of the battle's gone, and you can then just sit down and talk about, again, nothing in particular, and there's no vote at the end of it.
Yeah, I like that. That's one of the things that comes back to the last question of surprise, because I've seen that in council where you can disagree on something in a meeting, and then at dinner you sit next to the person and have a good old yarn about something else.
Yeah. Or it might even be you and I might vote against something on one agenda item, and the next agenda item we're arguing for the same thing. And that's a really important thing. I like the fact that we've got individuals representing the community on council so that they're all there bringing their point of view. So it's not like you have to be aligned with people and you have to vote with those people just because you're aligned together. You've got individuals bringing individual views to the table.
Yeah. And, yeah, that's good.
How would you describe the public perception of council?
I think it's up. As when you look at the public perception of council last year, and then they voted us all in, and now they've had a year to assess what we're doing and how we're doing. But I think the public perception is above average for us. I think that the most of the community is happy that they've got the council they got. I think a small amount of people maintain a conversation that doesn't really represent the community because it's too small a percentage. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a group online that monitors what council does and talks about it amongst themselves, but it's only not even 2,000 people, and we're 50 plus, so we've got to make sure that we're talking to everybody, and can't really use that you can't really use that as I can't think of the word, but
a barometer maybe.
Yeah, not really, because it's too small an amount to gauge.
What would you like to see council achieve in 2023?
2023. Well, one of the things that really raised my eyebrows was the picture of everybody out on the tarmac at the airport. So seeing bigger planes land would be nice. Only saying that from a traveller's point of view. But it's been a long time coming. And, I just want to, the reasons that I got on council, if we lean further towards unity into community and that sort of thing, then I feel as though we're going in the right direction. So, one thing would have been, if I was going to have that festival next year, would have been, like seeing people enjoy themselves and have fun, basically. And that's what I want to see, is people coming together as a community, because we're still a community. We're not too big yet. But it does feel like a strange place to live now as opposed to 30 years ago when everyone knew each other. But it would be nice to see the town's sort of becoming a city where you don't know half the people, and you're walking past people and you don't know where they're from, or if they're from here or there or wherever the visitors. It's all changing. We used to be able to tell by looking at someone if they were a visitor, but you could always say good day to people, and they'd give you a nod or something. So it'd be nice to be able to go back to that. But I don't know if it's in the universe.
Probably comes down to population size, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You probably still do that in smaller communities, but
yeah.
Dubbo may be getting too large for that.
I think so, and very fast.
I'll pick on a point that you mentioned earlier. You talked about the achievement from Australia Day 2022. We've obviously got some minor, but I think important changes for Australia Day 2023, so that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully we can get everybody on board, or most of the people. You can't please everyone, but there's got to be change. The only time change happens is when you change. So when we got to do something, and we'll go down as as at least making the first step.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's got to happen because there's still segregation in the town, and we've got to come together because no one's going away.
Yeah. No, I think that'll be very interesting, and I think it'll take a few years to happen. I don't think it's all going to happen in 1 year.
Maybe a few generations.
Maybe, yeah. But we've got to start somewhere, haven't we? So I think that's the important thing. What does the Dubbo region look like in 2050?
Oh, that's a scary thought. You know, as I've from my point of view, really, because I travel the world and I acknowledge the traditional owners wherever I go, and sometimes they're there, or sometimes they're wiped out. But people usually understand the traditional owner, who they were or who they are. So, but sometimes I'll go to land or to perform on some people's land, and I'll say I need to know who the traditional owners are so I can acknowledge them. And they say, we don't know. So I just want to make sure that never happens here. Like Paris killed the river. All the nature's dying, the river and the trees, but you can't swim in the river. And these are things that I don't want to see happen here, because we're in the same timeline. All we've got to do is add the people and those things will happen. And they don't remember who the traditional custodians of the land are. So I just don't want that to happen here. I'll be dead and gone, but at least the name will be still around.
Yeah, and I think it's important, as you say, it's that sort of process of custodianship.
Yeah.
You're doing your part now, and future generations, there'll be future councillors here, and hopefully they'll continue on that same custodianship.
And I think it's important to hang on to the cultural aspects. Hang on to our culture. It's very important. It's sort of like what's getting a lot of us through. And it's what people come into Australia for. You know, half the people that come to Australia want to know about Aboriginal culture. The rest of them are business people. So,
if you look at that aspect of it, that's really interesting, because if you go to Sydney or Paris or London or New York, you can go to the same sort of shops. So you can go and buy nice shoes or nice dresses at similar or even identical shops in those locations. So what makes it unique coming to Australia? What makes it different coming to Australia? And I think you've hit the nail on the head. The culture that we've got here is an incredibly important part of that.
Yeah, and it's, when you really think about it, it's the closest thing the world would have to study if they want to know how life was before, like, European civilization. So if they want to know how they lived traditionally, 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, they could look at how we lived, because we were still living it. Yeah, so that's one of the things that I saw as important. But I would just mainly want to keep it alive, because I don't want to see it die. So even if it's going to be at a cultural centre and people are living it and talking about it, then that's acceptable.
So I've got one last question that just asks for any other general comments. Now, before I ask you that question, you've been good enough to bring your didgeridoo, or one of your didgeridoos, along for me, one of your handmade didgeridoos, which looks magnificent but looks not much good on a podcast. So hopefully we'll hear you play that in a moment. But before you do that for me, any other general comments, anything else that's on your mind, you want to get off your chest or just talk about in terms of council?
Yeah, I'm just glad that I made it onto council. I'm actually feeling a bit guilty because I didn't attend a lot of the meetings, but I know I've been doing my business stuff. So, overseas you can't attend a meeting. But sort of started wondering about that. But next year looks a little bit better. But it's really rewarding to be part of the council, because you get to make decisions on a lot of the stuff that's going to happen. Not because I feel as though before I used to watch what was happening, and if I saw a decision made incorrectly that I thought about culture, I would write to the council, and then it'd have to be redone. And I thought, well, that's a waste of time. I could probably do that all cultural aspects could be covered if I was on the council. At the point of asking the question, you don't have to go out and ask everybody. That's the way I thought. But with the memorandum of understanding or the contract or whatever it is now with the Aboriginal Working Party, I know that they carry a lot of weight when it comes to decision making because of the agreements. But one of the things I would like to see change has already changed. It took me 2 years to get on the Working Party, and now it only takes a week.
Yes, it's amazing how things change when the players change.
Yes.
Yes, right. Well, that's great. I've really enjoyed actually this year. I've really enjoyed the year with all councils actually, but I've really enjoyed the cultural landscape and the different lens that you bring to the table is absolutely critical, I think, for the future of our region. And I think we can make sure that we stay unique and different and exciting and really make it an experience for people to come to our region by having that cultural landscape. So I think having you on council is really important, and I think the people of Dubbo really appreciate having that different cultural landscape, that different cultural lens on council. So thanks for your time this year. And
Thank you.
I really enjoy looking
forward
to next year.
So do I. Next year I'm going to be a bit more vocal because, you got to listen sometimes. But, we'll see.
And there's a lot to learn too for a new council. I remember back in my first year on council that I didn't say a lot because I was too busy absorbing everything and you didn't want to start talking without knowing that you had enough knowledge behind you. Yeah,
that's right. I don't like walking. I don't like putting myself out on a branch that's going to break. So I'll just sit there and listen. Sometimes when you shut up, you learn a lot more.
Yeah, exactly right. So I have sent you a challenge as well before this term of council ends that I want to get you to do some Dig lessons for all of our councillors. I think that'd be a fantastic bonding experience.
That's not a challenge for me.
Well, it might be for us.
It's for the students.
It might be. But you've got your Dig here now, so we might get set up there and we'll listen to a bit of didgeridoo. Lewis Burns playing his didgeridoo, one of his didgeridoos, and see how we go.
I'm going to play Gurialda, the Rainbow Serpent, which is one of the dances that the dance group does.
Fantastic. Righto, well, I look forward to the point where we get all our councillors attempting to play something like that. I'm sure it won't be anywhere near that quality, but it'll be a good bonding experience. Righto, well, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed gaining further insight into the minds of our councillors related to activities in 2022 with a view to the future as well. We have a diverse group of councillors and we are working very well together as a team. Continue to provide feedback by sending emails to mayor@dubbo.com and please follow or subscribe to this podcast and leave a review. Until next week.
Mayoral Memo with Mathew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.